Yo, what's going on guys? Jared here. Today I wanted to talk about a deck that I think fits into the meta pretty well. Something that not a lot of people are talking about and that kind of fell out of favor ever since Justice Hunters came out. Obviously with K9 and with Yummy and with Draco Tail all taking over the meta, whether people were bored or they wanted just something new to play, or the decks are actually just better. I actually think that this deck has a good matchup into all of them, and it's something that Japan could not have predicted, and that is Mitsurugi. I think Mitsurugi still has a very, very strong matchup, and that includes into all three of these decks. The fact that Murakumo being able to discard as well as Raigeki hurts all of the decks coming out of Justice Hunters. Raigeki is if Draco Tail or K9 plays on your turn 0, and you can Raigeki them on your turn 0 with Murakumo, or being able to, same thing with Yummy Raigekiing them in case they need board presence to be able to play. And then the discard is especially good against something like Draco Tail, being able they need that card advantage, and if you can get them to discard a card on your turn and on their turn, that really adds up very quickly for them. So I think this deck actually has a very good way of beating the current best decks, especially with how dominant they are, as you can see by the breakdown of the past YCS in Vancouver. So yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick deck profile of it and kind of give my thoughts on why I think it's good. And yeah, so if you enjoy, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the profile. Quick reminder, guys, all of my links are down below in the description box for all my affiliate links. Helps out the channel, supports the channel. And yeah, just real quick, selfish plug. And let's just get right into the profile. I play 3 copies of Ame, 2 copies of Futsu, and then 3 copies of the Habakiri. So the ratios on this is almost standard except for the 3 Murakumo, and the reason I do this is because of how much play, things like Ash Blossom, how good something like Dominus Impulse is, the Ritual, and I want to be able to make sure that I get him on the field. If I don't need to search him, I don't want to have to search him. If I open up Ritual, I don't want to have to summon from deck to play into the Ash Blossom. I just want to get him out as fast as possible to make sure he is summoned properly. So I am maxing out on him, at least currently. Granted, it always could change. If you don't like this ratio, feel free to change them. This is all just suggestions, but this is just how I'm playing it right now. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Aramasa. So this is pretty much a starter in the deck, and this deck's biggest weakness is consistency. At the end of the day, drawing weird with this deck happens all too often because you don't have a lot of 1-card starters. You have about 13 to 15 on average, depending on how you are playing. So I am playing this in a way where it is pretty consistent and you have ways to draw out of it. So I want to make sure that that is okay and not brick as much as you do, especially in longer tournaments, things like regionals and stuff like that. I want to make sure that we are being able to play every game, or at least most games. And then I'm playing 1 of each of the other level 4, Saji and Kusanagi. I don't want to play more normal summons than 5. 5 is like my sweet spot of normal summons where like I draw 1, I'm okay with it. When I start drawing more, it's like, okay, the deck can kind of finagle with it with like Ritual Spell or Prayers from the hand, but it's not optimal. You don't want to draw more. And then I play 1 copy of Wosu. I think this is one of the biggest benefits of playing the pure deck, being able to tribute off anything, especially against things like Lunalight. Just really, really surprising, especially when you search, or things like Yummy, you can preemptively get them to use their cards. I think that's very, very impactful. So I'm a big fan of Wosu right now. For other starters and pieces of engine, we're playing 3 copies of Pre-Prep, and then the 1 copy of Mirror. Great utility and also 1-card starter engine, so I'm a big, big fan of it. I'm also playing 1 copy of Magatama. I am a fan of this card. Good interactability, especially going second to force some of your plays through. Being able to pop anything is very nice. And an additional way to Ritual Summon is always welcome in a deck like this, especially when we're playing so many of the big guys. 3 copies of Ritual itself. Like I said, if we don't have to search it, I don't want to. So if we can draw a Ritual and Murakumo, I am completely fine with that to be able to play. And 3 of the best cards in the deck, obviously, is Prayers. This card is just insane in every way. I say it every time I talk about this card. It works in every best way possible that you want it to work. And then 1 copy of the Purification. This is just obviously an end board piece, being able to end on Purification, Magtama, Prayers, Murakumo. Something like an IP at the end board is usually just good enough and fine, with Futsu lingering about to be able to get your advantage back so that you don't get OTK'd. Something like Futsu against something like Yummy is also very nice, being able to recur back all those bodies as they're playing, and not just little bodies, big, big bodies. It is a problem for Yummy to deal with. Going forward with more consistency cards, 1 copy of Prosperity, and I am opting to play 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. So this could be other cards. This could be things like Extravagance, to be able to search, maybe things like Small World or anything like that, but I am opting into this. I feel like just digging for the starters that you really need is extremely good. I know sometimes you don't want to banish, but it also helps clear things like this Wosu out of your hand for matchups that's not good in. I just wanted to try to fix the consistency problem as best as I could. There's multiple things you can do. This is just the one I landed on, for now at least, and right now it's doing completely fine. And then last two cards, two God cards, Talents Called By. Of course, these cards are just wild. Next up, we have the non-engine, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, of course, and 3 copies of Impulse. Best hand traps right now. I think they do the most work. And then I have a power spell in here of Super Poly. I'm having a real struggle in my other decks, at least, to deal with Yummy, but this also works against everything else, between K9, between Yummy, between Draco Tail. This card is just good all around into almost every deck right now, and I think it is completely worth it to play, especially in tandem with things like Prosperity and Allure to draw into it as well. And keep in mind, let's say your opponent has something like Droll and Lockbird, right? There is a couple things you can do here where you're able to go Prosperity or Allure, either or. If you find Super Poly going second, you can at resolution activate Super Poly before your opponent can activate Droll, and then they can't Droll you on that interaction, so that you can play more freely after that if they do have it. So you can use these to dig for an out to the board and then still be safe at resolution. Or even if you go Allure or Prosperity into one of these, or like Praise or something, and then at res just do a different Super Poly so that they can't respond because you're a turn player and you can do it first. This was more relevant for things like Sky Striker when you had multi-roll, but yeah, big fan of this. And again, the way that the format is hand traps, it's either you're playing multiple hand traps and you're playing like 20 hand traps to be able to stop your opponent, or you're just playing a lot of engine and powerful engine with really strong non-engine, but a lot less of it. So things like the Talents, the Call By, the Super Poly, Impulse, all these cards are really strong into the boards right now, into all the decks right now. But at the same time, I'm not going to be pairing these up with a lot of stuff. Ash is here. This is even cuttable, to be honest, is Ash Blossom, because you don't want to give them options into things like Talents and Thrust, and even Paradise Smasher. So maybe even this could be something different, but I really like the, it's Ash Blossom. It's really hard for me to just say I'm not going to play Ash Blossom, right? So maybe this could be something else, I'm not sure, but for now, this is fine. If you have any other, obviously if you want to change anything, by all means, but I think this is okay for now for the main deck. Again, flat 40 consistency problems, I don't want to go over that. For the extra deck, I super wing this extra deck. This deck is so flexible in the extra, and I kind of want to go over some other options also as we go through it. So I'm playing Access Code, Unicorn, Dark. This is something I wanted to highlight that you can get to play in this deck, is Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. So something to keep in mind, Impulse, obviously you can't activate Earth monsters if you use this, so keep that in mind. But if you can summon this using a ritual monster, especially versus something like Yummy, and attack over an opponent's monster and get the effect to where you are able to increase it by 1500 attack. That is very difficult for Yummy to out this. It's 4500, can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. It is extremely difficult. Usually they have to beat over something like this or play some cheese card in the extra deck. Next up, we have the obvious interrupts with IP, Dynamundo, and the SP Little Knight, of course. This is very straightforward, being able to make these to after any normal Mitsurugi combo, just throwing the bodies into stuff like this is completely fine. And then for some super poly targets, we have the Garura, the Mysterion, and the Mud Dragon. This is all I'm playing currently. I think it's completely fine. These two, being able to use them versus things like K9 and Yummy, and then this versus for Draco Tail is very helpful, being able to negate stuff as well. Pretty awesome card, the fact that you're able to take advantage of a card that they also use. Because in this deck, you actually have the room to play the Mega Fleet Dragon because your extra deck is so loose, being able to have this in here is very nice versus the K9 Crystron deck. If they aren't playing around it, you just slap this over, take away 2 interruptions, and call it a day. Makes your life a lot easier going second. The fact that you can just have this sitting in the extra deck, just in case they make that Infinity and Extra Monster Zone line, you are prepared for it either way. Last up, we have the Exceeds. We have Bagushka and Code Igniter, just as another ritual option. This really comes up when they Impulse or Ash Mitsurugi Ritual, and you have like a prayers line to be able to get 2 4s on the field. You can go into Code Igniter to be able to still ritual summon with the apes in your hand if you need to get an additional ritual summon to keep your plays going. I think it is worth playing this card overall. And then lastly, we have Typhon and Zeus. Some people may be surprised about Zeus in this deck, but being able to make Bagushka to stop your opponent for a turn and then turning to attack and make a Zeus to clear the board and then continue to play, I think is worth it, especially when it goes in tandem with a Typhon. If you go Typhon and you just beat over their guy, then if they don't deal with it, following it up with a Zeus I think is a good option to have. One last thing I wanted to mention in this deck. Obviously, hand traps right now are either you play all or none. Very impactful hand traps are very prevalent right now if they are good, or very impactful board breakers are very prevalent right now if they are good enough. One of the things that this deck has, obviously, for it is that it doesn't use a lot of extra decks, so it gives you a lot of flexibility of what you can do. One of the things that I wanted to mention here that I am not doing that I think you could do in this deck is play something like Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries in the current format. Being able to hit things like Ripper, that's probably the least impactful one, but the Draco Tail Big Fusion Arthurion, I think his name is, and Yummy Snatchy, all of those hits are very, very impactful. Now I know Yummy can be able to go back into, get back into the Snatchies through the field spell, but they have to open up Cupsy or a way to get into the Cupsy Yummy way, which is much more difficult without the Snatchy. Being able to do that is very, very annoying, and they have to waste a search to even get to the field spell, and then also to destroy their own field spell because they don't have Snatchy to get to it. It definitely makes their plays a lot more awkward and worse. So I think it is something worth experimenting on, especially in a deck like this where you have the space to do it. Also, even with Reaper, it goes in tandem with something like a Lure of Darkness. Being able to banish Reapers when you don't need them for unfavorable matchups, I think is worth it for at least game 1 before you side them out. So that is just something I wanted to mention in a specific deck like this. So let me know what you guys think down below. Again, please check out the affiliate links down below. I really appreciate it, so it helps support the channel. And please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.